Welcome to another video. Today we're going to take a look at your partners or companions, or whichever you want to call them. So let's go over to the menu and select Bond. If you take a look here, you'll see all the companions that I collected while playing the game. If you select the train button down here, you'll see a similar layout as the Familiars leveling guide I did in my previous video. I'll put a link to all the leveling guides in the description below if you want to take a look at them later. So we'll just select one as example. You can see 3 tabs for each partner that you have: Favor, Startup, and Story. The Story tab is just a bit of background information about the partner. The Startup tab just allows you to start up your partner to increase your CP and stats, and you can get these memory shards by completing some of the story quests, or you may sometimes get it by dispatching your partners on side quests, which we'll talk about in a second. And the Favor tab is the main one we're going to be working on. So you can see that each partner has a bond level, and the higher the bond level, then the more CP you'll get, and also the better side quests you'll receive, which in return you'll receive better rewards. But let's take a look at the materials needed to increase the bond level. If you take a look at the inventory below, you'll see the materials that are needed to increase your bond level for this partner. And the materials you see below are rewards that you'll get from dispatching your partners on side missions. You'll notice that some of the materials have a little thumbs up icon on top of them. All this means is that your partner prefers this item over another one of the same value. For instance, the orange item Horn will increase your partner's bond level by 160, while a similar orange item Hourglass will only give your partner half as much, since this guy doesn't seem to like it as much. But it's basically double the normal favor if your partner favors the item. Let's take a look at the same item with another partner. All of a sudden the roles are reversed. This partner seems to prefer the Hourglass more than the Horn. And typically you want to give your partners whichever item they favor the most, since it will maximize the bond level so you can use less material and get more value from leveling your partners. Alright, so let's go level up our partner as an example. This partner still needs 150 favor to level up, but unfortunately I don't have any combination of materials to match that. But what I do have is the Horn that's more than enough to level up, so I'll just go ahead and use that. Once you max that level, you'll see the word Surge on your partner portrait, and it says to refresh your quest to activate the partner's breakthrough quest. So you can either select the refresh button there or select dispatch. And then once you're over on the dispatch page and the quest page, you want to select refresh. You will get 1 free refresh per day, or you can use your refresh dispatch card, which you should have collected a few by now. And once you do, you should see a new breakthrough quest with your partner's picture on it. Then you want to select a bond and select the partner that you just reached the level limit with. It looks like it's going to take 4 hours to complete. And since you only get 5 daily dispatches a day, I would save this one for the last dispatch of the day before you log off. So do the other dispatches first. Alright, so I've already had 1 breakthrough quest completed, and I'll show you what happens. So let's go back to my bond partners, and I select the one that I completed. And select breakthrough level. Now you can see that my bond level has increased for this partner, and that's pretty much all there is to it. One thing I do want to mention is that as you're leveling your bond partners, they'll eventually gain access to more than 1 psyche, which you'll need later when your dispatch quest becomes more difficult and the quest has more psyche requirements to do them. And even though I do not have it yet on this character, if you look at the partner portrait, they all have at least 2 psyche on them, and then they'll activate as you level up with your bond. Alright, so let's switch it up a bit and talk about the dungeons or cycle trials. If you select the dungeon icon on the top right here, you'll see the dungeons that are relevant to your level. Like mine is for Reborn 1, level 50, but you can scroll in every direction to see all the dungeon trials you can do. You'll see 3 difficulty types of dungeons: Common, Hero, and Hell. And you'll see what bosses or dungeons that are recommended to you based on your level. Even though sometimes you don't have enough CP to comfortably go through the dungeon, it will still allow you to enter the dungeon, but completing it with a low CP group may prove difficult. Let's look at the common dungeon here. You'll get 5 chances to earn rewards in the common dungeons, and it'll restore more chances every 2 hours. So typically what I would do is I would do all my common dungeons in the morning and then come back at the end of the day, and I'll have probably around 3 or 5 more chances that have been restored while I was away. The rewards in the common dungeons aren't that great. It's mostly consist of purple gear. If anything, it's a good dungeon to get some XP and some materials for crafting. Now if we look at the hero difficulty, which is significantly harder than the common, especially if you don't fall into the recommended combat power that you'll see at the center of the screen here. Most of the time, if you're not at least on the higher side or above the recommended CP, then expect this dungeon to not be a pleasant experience. But it can still be done if at least one or more of your group has a CP level above what's recommended. This difficulty level resets once a day, so use them wisely. There have been many times where I would complete both chances early in the day and then notice that one of my memory crystal requirements is to do a hero dungeon, but that's okay, since you can actually buy extra chances to these dungeons by going to the assistant shop or the star coin shop if you want the hell difficulty cards, but some of the cards have limitations of how much you can buy per week. The rewards you get here are really nice because in addition to purple gear, you also get orange gear, and it's usually going to be relevant to your gear upgrades, star ups, and rank ups. And then we have hell difficulty. I actually have failed this dungeon difficulty before during my earlier leveling stages. I highly recommend that you find a good group to go through this difficulty level. If you want to do it, then I would recommend you go ask for some help from your guildmates, or if you have some friends that are high CP to assist you through it. Since this dungeon only resets twice a week, you want to make it count. For my server, it resets on Monday and Friday, so I usually do it the day before it resets, unless I have like a memory crystal requirement that I need to do to progress in the story. The rewards here are always worth it for your level. You'll get tons of experience, gear, and materials as well. It's fairly straightforward to how to enter these dungeons. You can do auto match by selecting the team platform and then select auto match, or you can select sign up for entry if you already have a team formed. So we can't look at dungeons without looking at bosses. So let's head on over there to see what's available. Once you select the boss icon, you'll see different types of boss areas. Let's select the first one called Wild Boss. These bosses spawn all over the world, and each boss spawns at the same time, 4 times a day. You can see what time the bosses respawn at the top of the page. Regardless of how many bosses and respawns there are, you only get 6 chances to receive rewards for killing them. So since I typically only get a chance to log in twice a day during those respawn times, I would do my recommended boss and the 2 bosses above them. Sometimes I get bold and I would do a boss above my recommended and then the 2 bosses above that, depending on the situation. Some of the lower level bosses drop rewards that I wouldn't use anymore, but at least they make for some good crafting materials, and it's better than wasting my reward chances. But if you can make it to all the respawns, then I will at least do your recommended boss. Let's go back and head over to the Demon Prison. You get 6 chances to get rewards from each boss in the prison, and much like the dungeons, the reward chances you get will recover every 2 hours. Also, if you look below the boss portrait, you'll see the participation rewards on the left and the ownership rewards on the right. So there can be multiple players trying to kill the same boss, and the person who does the most damage will receive the ownership rewards, while others will receive the participation rewards, just for attacking the boss. And I must say, the ownership rewards usually have a much higher chance of getting orange items, but most of the time, prison bosses usually only drop purple items or lower. If you watch any of my videos, you might have seen random pop-up notifications of when bosses are about to respawn, and that's my fault for forgetting to turn off the notification before I make a video. But the notifications can actually be very useful when you are trying to target a certain boss for gear drops. You can change that down here by selecting the Revival Reminder and unselecting the bosses that you are targeting. Anyway, to get started, all you have to do is select the boss that you want and select the Go button. So let's go check it out. Once you're in the prison, you'll notice that the quest panel changes to display all the bosses in the prison floor. And yes, there are multiple floors depending on the boss's level range. So the cool thing about this is that you don't have to back out to the main boss screen to go to another boss, since they're all listed on this floor for your certain level. So once you kill a boss, you can just select Go on the boss list and you'll begin to head over there. Since I'm already here, I usually do all the bosses on this floor unless I see somebody already engaging that boss. Then I usually skip to the next one, because I really want to be the top damage dealer to receive the ownership rewards. Alright, so let's head over to the Land of Exile. The concept is basically the same as the prison, except the bosses are usually harder to kill, but in return the rewards are much better, and the higher chance of getting orange items and higher level materials, as you can see on the right side here. You only get 3 chances to gain rewards on these bosses, and the chances recover at a longer rate of 4 hours. And also these bosses take much longer to respawn compared to the prison bosses, but these bosses are well worth doing compared to the prison bosses. One thing that I overlooked while I was leveling on the floors on the top here, if you scroll over you can see the other floors. So like for instance, if I wanted rank 6 gear, I would do the Berserk Devil on the 4th floor. And if I go over to the 3rd floor, I can see that the Evil Apostle also drops rank 6 gear. So if you don't see the boss that you're looking for, you might as well able to fight easier bosses that drop the same rank gear on a different floor. Aside from all the nuances, they're basically the same as the prison. Okay, so let's head on over to the personal boss. Nothing fancy here. These bosses are only available to you, and you get 2 chances, and there's no recovery for chances. It just resets every day. Rewards are good only if you're able to 3-star the boss. These bosses are usually one of the first things I complete unless my CP is a little low. Then I'll either try to increase my CP by doing everything else first, and if I still can't get enough CP to 3-star the boss, then I'll go back up to the previous boss and then blitz it, so I don't waste my chances. We also have the Sanctuary here, but I'll leave it for another video since it coincides with the gear leveling guide that I'm making. But that pretty much sums up the bosses in the game. Completing these bosses are vital to getting gear and materials to increase your CP to progress in the game. But not only that, it's vital to complete your 7-day goal, so don't forget to complete these as often as you can. So that'll do for this part of the leveling series for Eternal Sword M. I really hope you liked this video, and if you did, I'd appreciate it if you could go ahead and like this video and subscribe to my channel. I'll leave some links in the description below for other leveling guides, so feel free to check them out as well. I'll be making more guides on various games as well, so hit that notification bell to be notified when a new video comes out. So until then, thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.